Alright, so this is going to be a quick video on how to get a one of the eBay conversion harness for an EG or an Integra. I know a lot of them come unlabeled for this one has 6 wires, some have 7, depending on what you get. This one, obviously, it's like the cheapest one I could find on eBay just because it's a budget build, whatever. So just trying to get the car going. I started ordering parts. When I went to put it on, I realized that they were not labeled. So I got a hold of the seller, told them what's going on. They said unfortunately they don't have any paperwork to go with it. Obviously they're just reselling it. So he said, oh, YouTube, this and that. I couldn't find anything. And the one video that I did found didn't really say any info on it. So I'm going to go through it real quick, how to wire it for the one I got, but also I will go through some of the pinouts that will help you. So in case you get a harness that for some reason has different colors, then that way you can figure out yourself. So alright, so like I said, this harness has 6 wires, 3 here coming out of the D plug on would be coming out of the K Pro, and then 3 coming out of the jumper harness. So I'm gonna start with the ones that come out of the plug D on the K Pro, and this is my notes if you guys want to pause it and read them. This here are just notes that I took from like the hybrid racing, so this colors don't mean anything, but this is what the 3 wires do. And then some have the extra wire, depending on where the plug-in is on the shock tower over there, or underneath I should say. But so I'm gonna get started here. E15 here is a ELD, which is coming right out of the K Pro. Ends up being the red on the harness, which is on the jumper harness. And like I said, E15 goes to D10 on the EG side. Got it cut. I just have it literally just tape for now, but it's gonna be a red green wire. So yep, we got red, and then we got red green here. So that's the ELD. We move on to the MIL, check engine light, and that one is going to be E31 on that same plug. Worst case, like I said, you can just look at pinouts, but E31 coming out of that same plug, and that one's going to go to A13 on the EG harness. So, and it's going to be a green orange wire. So we got this one here, green orange. We splice it. I peeled it back up there just so I can get more play while this gets tucked back in. Like I said, that ends up being green orange, and on the jumper harness it is brown, maroon, I don't know, I'm just gonna say it's brown. So that takes care of ELD and MIL. Then we move on to main relay, which is the fuel pump. So that's going to be E1 on the ECU on the K Pro, which is the very first one right there. And that one is actually green. And then that one goes to A7 on the EG side. And that one's going to be a green yellow wire right here. So green yellow. But, and like I said, that one ends up being a green wire on the jumper harness. So once you got those, you basically can run the car. Obviously you're going to need K Pro to get this one to work correctly, which is the fuel pump, because unless you have the immobilizer with it and it's wired in, if not, it will not start because it has the immobilizer. So make sure you get on K Pro and delete that immobilizer. If not, your car will not start. So the other wires that we got, I got my notes actually from looking at it. So fan switch, it's literally the The wire that goes to one end of the RSX radiator fan switch, which is the temp sensor basically that tells the fan to turn on. So this goes to one side of the switch, and then the other side you just ground. So once it gets hot enough, it'll pass ground through and it'll make the fan kick on. So if I got my key on, once for example, let's say the switch actually turns on, and then our fan is running. So that's how we know that one is it. So we'll set this aside and we'll wire that to the engine bay here once I'm finished. The other one is green on the conversion harness side, and this one ends up being the temp sensor to the gauge. So if you look at it, once I ground it, we'll look at the temp, it goes to hot. Let it go, it goes back to cold. So obviously the sensor will be telling it, you know, certain amount of current through that switch that's gonna make it tell you the temperature up there. So like I said, we ground it out and we get to move. So this is how we know this one is our sensor on the cluster, the gauge I should say. And this one will go to the B series sensor that goes on the top water neck. So this thing here will be removed. We get the adapter and then we put the B series 1-wire sensor, run the wire out here, plug it in, and then that's it for that. The next thing it's going to be blue, which I believe this should be the charge light indicator. Tap into B10, do not cut it, just tap into it, and that's gonna be, where to go, so I have to look at the pinout, but it actually goes on the K series side, I believe. I'm gonna check real quick. I forgot to look at the pinout for that one, and then like I said, I'll come back and show you guys where that one goes. Alright, so I went and verified B10. Like I said, it is on the this one's actually on the engine harness part of it, but it does go to the K Pro. So B10 is literally this white and light blue wire there. Like I said, just look at pinout for K Pro, but that one's gonna be on the second row, third one over, if you're looking at the K Pro from left to right. And like I said, this one you don't actually cut it, you just tap into it with a T connector or splice it and then tee it off, but just make sure that you still have that wire going back to the engine bay. And I'm not sure exactly how it works, but I think it gets grounded too, because if I ground it here, you can see the battery light come on over there. So that's that. Like I said, that pretty much takes care of everything, besides having to run the wires out to the engine bay for the cluster temp gauge and then the switch. And the switch, you don't really have to run it, because you could, on K Pro, you could set it to where on protection, you can set it to where your actual temp sensor on the head will turn the fan on. So you don't necessarily need it, but you know, I mean, if you have the water neck or the RSX radiator with the switch already on it, might as well just hook it up. It's literally one wire that you have to run out, and then the other side of the sensor just gets grounded. So hopefully that this helps some of you out. Like I said, it was like 40 bucks, but figured I'd save you guys some time of having to deal with shipping it back and spending 80 bucks on one that's labeled. Like I said, I already ordered another one just in case, but I got this one to work, so I'm not going to worry about it, and I'll just keep the other one for future swap or whatever. But hopefully this helps some of you guys, and like I said, it's not necessarily a hard thing to do, but it does take a lot of going back and forth. So it took me like 2.5 hours to go through both schematics and then go through the hybrid racing one to see what wires were used and what each one did. And obviously going between the three, I was able to figure this out. So like I said, hopefully this helps some of you guys. Let me know if it does, and stay tuned for more informative videos that I can find helpful for you guys. So have a good one.